thank you for inviting me into your living rooms today, and to thank you for joining me in this waking up process of gratitude for our 2020 experience. You see, it all started for me when I set the intention for 2020 to live out of spiritual vision. You see, I've been meditating and contemplating what did it mean really to have a 2020 experience. And then I was remembering that perfect vision, spiritual vision, is different. That normal vision is a comparison between how well I see at 20 feet and how well the majority of other people see at 20 feet. And I knew that, I wear glasses. So my vision isn't quite the same as everybody else's, but what I really wanted to do was to live out of spiritual vision for 2020. Now, little did I know how that was going to turn out. But I also do know, because I have had 20 years of experience working with intention and spiritual practice and spiritual communities, that when you set such an all-encompassing, lofty intention, such as living 2020 out of a spiritual vision, that everything and anything unlike that is going to show up for healing. So as I said, I've done ministry for 20 years, working with communities that I show up, it's because the previous minister left. I show up because there's crisis and trauma and drama in the community. And so they invite me to come in and work with them along with their leadership and their community to resolve the issues that are standing in their way for hiring the next minister. So I've had a particularly interesting 20 years experience with transition. And I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, that 2020 is one of those pivotal, colossal, transformational experiences, not only for me and for you, but also for our nation, our collective, probably for the whole world, since we're having this pandemic experience. And what I know about transitions is that they're different than changes. When we change something, we change things because we think it's going to be fun. We think it's going to be easier. We think it's going to make our life more wonderful. And we're always looking to the change. Change our clothes, we change our jobs. It's easy. It's easy. But transitions start with an ending. And endings are not always easy. In fact, most of the time, endings are filled with disappointment, disillusionment, disrespect, everything, disillusion. And most of all, it's about a disidentification of who we were and what's normal for us. We're losing our identity in the process of an ending. And this ending is such a big deal. I mean, we're walking into a void. We don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. We don't know how next year is going to turn out. We don't know if we're going to have a job, or if our economy is going to bounce back, or if we're going to live to see another day. So all of that pulls together to create quite a freak out moment. And social scientists tell us that we have 3 different ways that we routinely handle freak out moments. The first is denial. We just deny that it's such a big deal. We downplay the risks. We help people to manage, and we want things to be normal. And so we, out of our desire to have it be normal, we minimize things and we ignore things. But that doesn't mean it's normal. I mean, really, this last week of Thanksgiving, more people traveled this week than since March. It's because what we do for Thanksgiving is we all get together and we want to be with family, and we think that if we're all together and with family, then everything's okay. Well, that's despite the risks. What the CDC is telling us is the healthiest strategy to take. That's despite the fact that every single day this week we've had more hospitalizations because of one virus. That's despite any and all experiences that we've had that it's going to be okay. We're filled with concern, worry, doubt, debt. But this attempt to normalize, we had Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It wasn't 2 miles long. It was only a mile. They didn't invite the normal 1.3 million people to be involved with Macy's Day Parade. There wasn't any live event there at all. But, the show must go on. So the first way we handle freak out is we try to rationalize and minimize our freak out. We sort of deny to normalize the experience. The second way we start handling this freak out experience is that we become emotionally reactive. We're going to react emotionally with fear, worry, anger. We try to assign blame. We say, oh, that's the problem. Oh, that's the problem. Oh, this is it. You fill in the blank. But the truth of the matter is that when we're in these emotional upset, trauma, worry, freak out, it doesn't help us really to deal with the issue. In fact, there's an old story about a guy who wrote I think it was the Ford Motor Company, and said, I just bought one of your new automobiles and I have a problem. It's a very rare and unusual problem because every night my family and I go out and buy ice cream. And when I buy vanilla ice cream, the car doesn't start. But when I buy chocolate or pistachio or any number of other, the car starts automatically. Now, I don't know what the problem is, but I thought I'd let you know. A month went by. He writes again to the head of the automobile company and says, I know you think I'm crazy, but there's a problem here. Every single time I buy vanilla ice cream after supper, the car doesn't start. But every time I buy anything else, it's fine. So the president of the company sent one of his engineers down to see what was going on for this guy. He's like, okay, this is pretty crazy. Turns out that vanilla ice cream was the most popular thing this ice cream shop sold. And so they had a big display case at the very beginning of the store. And you could pop in, get ice cream, and get out back to your car in less than 2 minutes. But if you buy anything else, you had to go to the back of the store. There was always a line. It would take 10, 15 minutes to get ice cream. Well, it turns out the problem wasn't ice cream. It didn't matter about the ice cream. What it mattered was the difference in 10 or 15 minutes gave the car enough time to dissolve its vapors. And that's a freak out. We have to let go of the vapor lock in our consciousness so that we can start waking up to what's really going on. You see, freakouts are here to teach us. And really, 2020 has been a year where we have gotten to know ourselves and gotten to know each other and gotten to know what we're really made of. And we're not through this freak out moment yet. We're still in the middle of the void. It's a place of no return. We can't go back to what it was. We can't unring this bell. We will always be confronted with the difference between social distance and distance learning. It's never going to be the same So the challenge is, what are we going to do? How are we going to get this vapor lock that's holding us back from really being able to move forward together as fellow citizens, as countrymen, as citizens of the world, to co-create a world that works better than this one has? So how we really do that is the third way of dealing with freak out. The third way of freak out is starting to engage with acceptance. The Big Book of Alcoholics says the answer to all of our problems is in. Acceptance is the answer to all of our problems today. Acceptance. Once we get to that place of accepting, this is what's going on. Now what are we going to do? Until we move away from thinking it's all about vanilla to recognizing that we have to move beyond the vapor lock that's clogging up our emotions and start engaging in rational acceptance strategies. We have to get to the point where we start developing some perspective on this. All is not lost. The world is not ending. Yet, we act like it. So we have to start figuring out how really to engage with one another. I mean, Zoom's a perfect example of a new way, a new strategy, a new experience. Sometimes it kind of gets us into a vapor lock, a tizzy. But we can move through it. We can do this. Another thing that happens is that we start developing our own connection with the divine, with the power that's greater than us, to God as our own understanding. This is a time for us to plug in to that divine experience. And that will grow us beyond whatever challenges we're experiencing. We have to figure out how to restore our self-esteem. We have to unplug from being what we have been to who we can be. We have to understand that we're the ones we're waiting on. And how do we do this? How do we really get to this point of engaging in acceptance? Well, I think it's all about appreciating the good. It's about harvesting the good. It's even about mourning in Giraffe. One of the programs I'm involved in is called Compassionate Communication. And one of the techniques they talk about is really mourning in Giraffe. Now, it's too complicated to talk about, but let me give you an example. One of my friends, Dorothy, sent out a tweet last week. It was a picture of her and Harry. And they were sitting, cuddling in this big, oversized chair, and it was right before his last illness. And her message was, I have to tell you, every day, I am so grateful for Harry. And the love that I have for Harry, who's been gone 3 years now, can you believe it, has grown every single day. I still talk to Harry as if he's still around in the physical body. And I have gotten to understand what he was trying to say and to what he was trying to do and how our life really worked when he was around. And after 32 years of companionship, my love for Harry has grown. And it's grown so much to now I really am asking Harry, help me. Help me find somebody who would be just the right person for me to fall in love with, to become a new companion for me to spend the rest of my life. Now, this is mourning in Giraffe. It is about recognizing how well her needs were met with those 32 years of being with Harry. And also out of that hunger to have that again in her life. And that's what gratitude, appreciation can be. It can really help us to understand and to grow. Now, I'm going to give you 7 different appreciation prompts. And if you haven't gotten a pencil or a piece of paper, I'm going to invite you to do that now, because I'm going to tell you one more story about gratitude. You see, gratitude turns us away from the, general everyday good stuff to taking us into harvesting really the good in those difficult moments, in the difficult, painful experiences. And that's what gratitude can be. It's a way to appreciate something that moves us deeper into ourselves. So the first one of those appreciation prompts that I want us to talk about is breathing. I don't know about you, but I used to breathe all the time, but I didn't really appreciate it until I started taking deep, conscious breaths. That breath moved me beyond my head, beyond just filling up my lungs, but truly getting my solar plexus in it. And when I could breathe down beyond that lump in my throat, or beyond the tightness in my chest, or the hole in my heart, and really breathe, I came to understand something higher and deeper. I came to appreciate my physical experience, my wholeness in a different way. So that's what I want you to do, is take time out to breathe, to take time out to appreciate your body temple, and to really understand the health and the wholeness that are ours. We're designed that way, even if we're not all showing up that way, And that's part of that appreciation. Look for the good, and also recognize where you probably could do a little tweaking, whether that's getting more into shape, or building up your stamina, or deciding to drink more or drink less alcohol and drink more water. Whatever it is, find the health partners who can help you in making that transformation. The second appreciation prompt I want us to look at is to see how well our needs have been met, and then do an inventory of how our needs have been met, and an inventory of what is unmet in our lives. Not to shame, not to blame, not to assign responsibility elsewhere, but to really look, what are the things that are working well, and what are the things that need some improvement? The third appreciation prompt I want to give you is to appreciate your pain and the longings of your heart. Who are you? And what is it that is left undone in your life? It's sort of like your bucket list for yourself. What is it that you want to do? Maybe you have a song that you have been dying to really embrace. Or maybe you want to be a YouTube creator. Or maybe you want to do something else. I don't know. What is the longing of your heart? So that's the third appreciation prompt. Fourth prompt is appreciate forgiveness. You see, we're all human, and we need forgiveness. We need forgiveness so we can let go of our worry, our doubts, our mistakes, the challenges we have in getting this video set up, whatever. We need that forgiveness. And if we can forgive ourselves and forgive other people, all the better. That forgiveness is critical. So I want to invite you to look and appreciate how good a forgiver are you. Not only how many times you needed to ask for forgiveness, but how many times could you offer forgiveness? And do you need to become a better forgiver so you can let go of the small stuff and really focus on the important things? So that's the fourth forgiveness, the appreciation prompt. The fifth appreciation prompt I want to give you is, how has your life been shaped by failures, loss? Take an inventory and how many times you fallen on your face? And how many times have you let it stop you in your tracks? Or were you able to move on, to use those failures and that loss to create successes? That's going deeper with appreciation. The other thing, number 6, the next appreciation prompt is to appreciate your peeps, your partners, your family, your coworkers, your friends. Get to understand who they are and what makes them work. And you can figure out by appreciating them for what they are. They don't have to change. They don't have to do things the way you want them to for you to love them and care about them. But the more you understand how they're different, appreciating the differences, you'll come to find out that in that appreciation of them doing them the way they do them, instead of having to do your way to be okay, that you'll make a difference in how successful you will be together in relationship. Now, there's a self story that tells me about an experience of a novice who'd been in the convent for 1 year. And she, at that end of the year, went to see Mother Superior, and they had a conversation about how her life was going, what was her prayer life like, what was working well, what was not working well. She finally, at the end of that conversation, she said, well, you know, I like everybody here at the convent, but there's 2 people I really don't like. Mother Superior says, well, what is it that you don't like about her? Well, the first one was, she's too lazy. And the second one was, she took too long getting ready to get started for the day, made everybody wait. Mother Superior said, I think I have the answer. I want you this year to work on those 2 things. I want you to work at being a little bit more lazy, not taking everything so seriously. Have a little bit more fun. Not work so hard. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to take more time for yourself. Because often what happens when we compare ourselves to other people and identify the things we don't like about them, what's really going on is those are things that we need to find out and to do more in our own life. So I want you to learn how to appreciate your rivals and appreciate your enemies. And what it is about them that you don't like, turn it around. See if that's not an area where you could be better. You could be more honest, more truthful. What is it that you need to appreciate in them, to discover in yourself? Now, the 7th thing of this whole appreciation is to appreciate your hopes and your faith. You see, those 2 things, hope and faith, are prerequisites for optimism for the future. And it is the way we're going to get through this. It is how to make appreciation and gratitude part of our lives to truly go forward in our lives. You see, it's not joy that makes us grateful. It's really gratitude that makes us joy. Thank you.